To tell us a little bit more about this, British journalist Jon Offei-Ansah, who's the founder and publisher of AfricaBriefing, which is a Pan-African news magazine based in London. Thanks so much indeed for joining us and welcome to the programme. So it looks as if Prince Andrew's legal problems might be over, but this really has damaged him permanently, one would think.
Yes, as the saying goes, mud sticks, and I believe this mud, is going to stick on him, forever.
So some people would say that settling is an admission of guilt.
Yes, to the ordinary person, yes, it's an admission of guilt, but legally, he has not admitted any guilt, in this to this allegation whatsoever, because I believe that if the case, neither side, Virginia Giuffre and Prince Andrew, I'm not sure either of them, would have loved to see this matter go to trial, because if it had gone to trial, certain things would have emerged that would have been damaging to both parties, both Prince Andrew and the accuser, Virginia Giuffre. So I believe upon the advice by by her lawyers, right, she thought it would be prudent, to settle this matter before, it went to trial.
But I suppose it would have been worse for him and also the royal family, because even though his titles have been taken away, he is still associated with the British royal family, and they could not afford to have this play out in court. The Buckingham Palace brand would have been damaged.
Yes, especially, this year is a platinum jubilee of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Right, and the whole of the UK is gearing up, for the is preparing to celebrate this August occasion. His mother, Queen Elizabeth, is the longest serving monarch, in English history. So this, if the matter had gone to trial, it would have somewhat, put a dampener on his mother's platinum jubilee celebrations. So maybe they thought maybe it was prudent, for everybody, to nip this in the bud before it went any further to ruin, the celebrations this year.
What's his life going to be like now? The Queen's not going to give him back his titles, one would think. His patronages, royal work, all of that goes out the window. Does he just become Andrew Windsor citizen?
No, not Andrew Windsor citizen. He's still a royal. He still has his royal titles, his Royal Highness Prince Andrew. But he's been stripped of all his military titles. He's been stripped of all his patronages of various organizations, and he's not going to be allowed back into public life, like performing royal duties on behalf of the royal family. So he's going to be, he's going to be shunted, to the background, to the back burner, if you like. Yeah.
I saw that he didn't even make it to his daughter's wedding. I suppose it would have been, from a publicity point of view, almost impossible to celebrate this wedding whilst all of these allegations were still haunting him. And that probably is typical of his life now.
Yeah, look, nobody would like to have staged, their daughter's wedding. And if, like you said, if he had attended the wedding, it would have ruined the whole occasion for his daughter. So it was rather prudent and wise for him to have stayed, out of the wedding. Yeah.
How are people in the United Kingdom feeling about Prince Andrew? I mean, he really has had quite a colourful life, hasn't he? I mean, I remember when I was much younger, there was the saga of Koo Stark, who was a photographer, if I remember, back in the day. And of course, the fallout with Fergie. He really has been quite a colourful character, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, look, he was reputed to have had an eye for the ladies. And there was one time when I was also much younger, when he was nicknamed Randy Andy, you know. But look, I think it's a phase, you know, guys go through, and maybe he took his a bit too far, and he's paid the price for it.
Or is there any rehabilitating his image at all, especially since nothing will probably ever be proven here?
I wouldn't say no. There's a chance that, look, memories fade, and the British public sometimes can be quite understanding and can be quite forgiving. And maybe after 5 years to a decade, maybe when everything is died down, maybe you could just quietly creep back into public.
Yeah.
You never know. Yeah.
What do you think is different? Is it that this woman was 17 at the time? Because, you know, Charles was unfaithful to his wife was unfaithful to him, Camilla is going to be queen, and she was the mistress. I mean, you know, there's been scandals in the royal family before, but this one is particularly more odorous for some reason.
Yeah, you see, look, this case has been blown, is big because, look, if this, you know, had happened to an average Joe like you know, and me, I'm not sure it would have garnered, you know, the amount and the level of publicity, you know, it has. Okay, look, we shouldn't, at the end of the day, they are royals, yes. By the end of the day, we shouldn't forget that they are mere mortals like you and me, or like everybody else. They are prone to mistakes. But because they are royals, their mistakes are always amplified, you know, way beyond, out of all proportion. Right? So I believe, look, Camilla, like you said, she was a mistress, and most people blame her for the breakup of Charles's marriage to Diana, you know, and at first, people didn't like her, but now, people have accepted her as a member of the royal family, and last week, when the Queen announced that she would be Queen, I mean, in general, the whole, you know, general public, you know, in the UK have accepted it. Yeah. So you never know. Come maybe a decade down the line, maybe the British public would forgive and forget Andrew for all that he's done, and then come back into public life, and they will accept him with open arms.
It does seem that without admitting guilt, that there seems to have been a bit of an apology that's come through from Prince Andrew. He'd spent quite a bit of time trying to bring down the name of Miss Giuffre, and he seems to be walking that back a little bit without actually apologizing.
Yeah, I mean, look, in the UK, a lot of rape cases, I mean, take 10 rape cases, maybe only 2 or 3 of them, you know, get, you know, a successful prosecution. Because when a woman accuses a man of rape and it goes to court, right, it appears like the woman is on trial rather than the accused, you know, the man. Okay, so in case that you need to sort of fight back, and that is what Prince Andrew tried to do, to fight back just to clear his name. Simple as that.
I suppose also he's not had to say anything under oath at this stage, and by settling, that keeps him out of court, and he won't have to admit to or lie about things under oath.
Exactly. That is why, you know, they came to this settlement. You know, according to some experts, the settlement could be as high as £10 million, right? So, I mean, coming to this settlement sort of avoid avoid any dirty laden, if you like, being aired in public. So I mean, look, I think he's got off, scot-free, fine. Yeah, if the allegations were true, that is, yeah.
All right, and that's where we'll leave it. Thank you very, very much indeed. I've no doubt the papers, tabloids, everything is just going to have pictures of Andrew on the front page today and tomorrow, maybe even for a little bit longer. But thanks so much for joining us tonight and giving us your insights.
Thank you for having me.